Attention! If you work in air conditioning or refrigeration, you'll want to listen. Introducing the Zoomlock braze-free fitting for copper tubes. You heard that correctly. Zoomlock is braze-free, and when you can connect tubes without brazing, that changes everything. By eliminating the need for brazing, Zoomlock lets you join copper tubes in less time, with less work, with less equipment, and even with less headache or experience than brazing requires. Just imagine life without brazing. Since you don't need a flame, you don't need gas. So you also don't need safety equipment, fire spotters, or hot work permits. Without brazing, almost anybody can join tubes with Zoomlock, and you get more flexibility in where and when you can work. In fact, it's been proven that time and labor needed for tube joints can typically be reduced 40 to 50% when you don't need to braze. The Zoomlock is patented technology based on the simple concept of crimping, and it's all very easy to do. Using the supplied tube cutter and crimp gauge, make sure the cut end of the tube is perpendicular. The tube also has to be properly deburred, because the Zoomlock fitting has an O-ring inside, and sharp edges on a tube can damage it. Then just push the fitting onto the tube. A reference dimple in the Zoomlock fitting helps assure the right insertion depth and a secure fit. Using the properly calibrated jaw, place the special crimping tool onto the fitting. Grooves in the jaws help you align it. Then press and hold the trigger on the tool until it completes its cycle. A special stamp displaying RLS will appear on the tube to show that the connection is right. It's that easy. No flames, no adhesives, and almost no time at all. The one-piece Zoomlock fittings are reliably secure and leak-proof, so there's no compromise on performance. Zoomlock fittings are also more repeatable than brazed joints. And if the Zoomlock press fitting is not crimped properly, it can easily be recrimped. Let Zoomlock fittings help you be more efficient, work more safely, be more flexible, and finish every job sooner. Zoomlock fittings. Imagine life without brazing. Talk to your local Sporlan authorized wholesaler or Parker distributor for more information. Zoomlock braze-free fittings from Parker are the faster and simpler solution for HVACR technicians to connect copper refrigerant tubes. These quick tips will help ensure proper installation. ACR, Type M, and Type L copper tubing are all approved for Zoomlock use. Type K copper can also be used on sizes up to 7/8 of an inch. When installing Zoomlock braze-free fittings, you should use the approved copper tubing cutter provided in the kit. Take your time to ensure a clean, smooth cut. Do not use hacksaws or reciprocating saws when cutting copper tubing, as this creates a rough surface that may damage the O-ring fittings. Be sure to spend ample time deburring the copper tubing. Use the supplied deburring tool to remove residual burrs from the outside and inside of the copper tubing. The tube ends should be inspected and any sharp edges should be addressed. Use a heavy-duty scouring pad to clean the ends of the copper tubing to be joined. If scratches are present on the end of the copper tubing to be connected, either cut off the affected area or sand thoroughly to avoid any chance of O-ring failure. A deep scratch on the copper tubing within the O-ring sealing area can provide a leak path for refrigerant to escape. When using Zoomlock braze-free fittings, ensure brazing operations are done 5 inches or more from the Zoomlock fitting. We suggest the use of wet ragging or heat block for protection against heat transfer that may damage the fitting. Parker, Virginia Heat Block is the recommended product for protection against heat transfer during brazing, soldering, and welding. Before inserting the copper tubing into the fitting, mark the tubing after lining it up to the dimple located in the middle of the fitting. This will ensure proper tube insertion depth when crimping. Please note that Zoomlock is different than other industry crimp technology commonly used in plumbing. Be sure to properly place the crimping jaws on the fitting using the grooves for alignment. The jaw must align between the O-ring and outer flange for correct crimping. After crimping, you will see the RLS stamp on the fitting. This stamp can help determine that a complete crimp has been achieved. To use the crimp gauge, select the proper tubing size and place it over the crimp. If it does not fit the fitting, it is not completely crimped and therefore must be re-crimped. Remember these Zoomlock quick tips to ensure ease of use and quality of your installation. Let Zoomlock braze-free fittings help you be more efficient, work more safely, be more flexible, and finish every job sooner. Zoomlock braze-free fittings. Imagine life without brazing.